They say we should have known better than to fall so deep down into this rabbit hole we found. And I was thinking...
Hi, this is Nikolai, and you're listening to my dad, Rafal, co-host James Jardine, and featuring Mr. Jim Tiller on the one and only Down the Security Rabbit Hole podcast. Plug in, listen up, and enjoy.
Deep into this pool of regrettable situations. Pitch black, think back to the last time that we were happy.
All right, welcome down the Security Rabbit Hole to another edition of the Down the Security Rabbit Hole podcast. I am Raph, live here at Zero Trust World with this guy. You guys know him? Marcus, introduce yourself.
So I'm Marcus Hutchins. I'm a cybersecurity research. I'm most well known for stopping the WannaCry cyber attack. I work in threat research, doing sort of reverse engineering, and my primary focus is on looking at both e-crime and state-sponsored threat actors.
Okay, and you gave a fun keynote. I like the bit on the North Korean threat actor throwing some malware in, like readable malware into your ID. Like talk to me about that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, so the North Koreans really like this. Should I look at the camera? Or?
You can look at the camera. Just wave at people.
Okay. Yeah. So North Koreans really like this sort of technique that's been dubbed contagious interview. And the way that contagious interview works is they basically create these fake coding skills tests. Because when you take a job at, say, like a software engineering company, they want to know that you're good at coding. So they'll give you some kind of example app and they'll ask you to make changes, maybe fix bugs. It might say there's a memory leak in this line of code. Can you debug and can you fix it? So they've been leveraging this by making their own malicious skills tests.
That's brilliant.
I know. And it's what's so clever about it is no one ever thinks to check source code because you can read source code. Like if there was malware in the source code, someone would have said something. But because it's going directly to the developer, the only person to check it is them. So they assume this code is safe. It's coming from someone offering them a job interview and they run it. And then there's this tiny little payload that's embedded deep inside the code. And the second they edit that code or they run it, they get infected with the malware.
That's an interesting. How did you figure that out? Like, did you get one of these?
Yeah. So one of our clients got hit at an old company I worked for. And they accidentally triggered a SOC alert when they were doing the hands-on keyboard portion of the intrusion. And then when I dug into the alert, I was like, this is coming from what looks like like some kind of web app. A web app shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
So I pulled apart that web app and I was like, oh, that is not good.
That's malware. Hey, look at that. That's a backdoor.
Yeah. So I was like, I raised the alarm and I was like, we need to look at this. Like, this is not just any malware. This is like state-sponsored threat actors.
That's interesting. Hey, listen, we're standing in a place called Zero Trust World. What's your hot take on Zero Trust? I know you've got hot takes. I like hot takes.
I don't know if they're going to invite me back. My hot take on Zero Trust is I don't know what it means. Everyone has redefined the meaning of Zero Trust to the point that to me, it does not mean anything. Like, I'll give you an example, I guess. Well, I mean, half the problem, right, is like, what is trust?
Yeah.
Like, is a VPN zero trust?
Yeah.
Like if I am on your network, then there is some sort of inherent trust.
Yeah.
We can't have no trust whatsoever, or no one would be connected to the network.
Yeah.
So what it tends to really be doing is kicking trust down the road. We move the trust from one location to another. Mm-hmm. And no one has really decided at what point does it become not zero trust versus zero trust. Like if one thing I heard of being called zero trust was things like Cloudflare Access, which is basically like a VPN, but not. And I was like, okay, so where is the line between that and a VPN? Like, why is a VPN not zero trust? And why is this zero? And it's just like, it just feels like we're just sort of adding more steps, but no one is really clear about which specifically, when does it come zero trust?
Yeah.
Because there's always still going to be trust, right?
Well, look, for a little while, it was, some people defined it. The guy actually that, I'll let Chase, I'm sure Chase watches this, so he'll rebut, but he gave a good keynote last year on Zero Trust. And I think he probably would agree with you in some aspects that Zero Trust has been hijacked from a philosophy to a vendor product.
Yes.
Right. And then suddenly, but we've done this in security for, I don't know how long have I been in this industry? All the time. Right. It's like, it's a good idea that gets hijacked and suddenly it's a product, and the good ideas are never products.
Yes.
They're philosophies.
Yeah. And it's not just products or philosophies. I feel like every term gets hijacked, like APT. When we first came out with the term APT, it was meant to mean state-sponsored threat actor that engages in persistent access. But then everyone wanted to be like, oh, we didn't get hacked by like this crappy script kiddie. We got hacked by a sophisticated actor. So we just start calling everything APTs. And then suddenly like APT doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. No, well, nobody wanted to get hacked by the 14-year-old that just picked up the script. Yeah.
And that's why we started to coin the term APT, Advanced Persistent Teenager.
Yeah. I remember that one. So what are you working on now when you're not surfing? Like, what are you doing?
So mostly I'm investigating, if we're talking like work.
Yeah, sure. Let's split that up. I mean,
okay.
You're a surfer.
Yes, I'm a surfer.
We were just talking off camera. You're on the Oahu. You enjoying the islands down there?
Yeah, absolutely love it. Great surf in the winter. Winter is like peak surf season.
Yeah.
So I actually came here straight from Oahu.
Oh, sweet.
Which was terrible actually, because
it's a terrible flight.
It's an 11-hour flight.
That's awful.
I was like, in 11 hours, I could have gone from LA to England or France.
Yeah.
Like I could be anywhere.
Yeah, but now you're in Florida. You're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse. But yeah. So I've been surfing in Oahu, and then kind of in my free time, I like to do, honestly, just like, I like to find a cool tech project and just dig into it.
Okay.
One of the crazy ones I was doing recently is, have you ever seen those relay attacks against cars?
Yeah.
The person holds up the antenna.
Yeah.
I was like, that would be really fun to like build one of those.
Oh God, did you?
I did.
Okay.
I went and I looked at all the protocols and the frequencies, and I looked at like all the schematics, and I was like, I can build this. This is not hard to build. So I went and I built a relay, and I don't drive. I don't own a car. So I went to my friends who had a keyless car, and I was like, do you mind if I just like steal your car real quick? And they're like, yeah, go for it.
That's some good friends right there, man. That's good friends. So it worked.
It worked, yes.
Okay, that's a hell of a pet project.
It was fun because I wanted to learn more about electrical engineering, and then we got into looking at there's a lot of aftermarket keyless entry systems you can buy on Amazon, and I started looking into how secure actually are those.
Are they all made in China, Marcus?
They are made in China,
of course. So the answer is not at all.
The keys do not rotate. The frequency.
Hold on. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
You can genuinely steal the car with a flipper zero.
Oh my God! Come on. I'm surprised those things aren't illegal already.
They should be.
No, don't give anybody any more ideas, man. Don't give people any crazy ideas about making flipper zero illegal. All right. What did you think of the conversations that have been happening? Because I've seen you involved, as I have been, on the whole AI space. Because this is one where I suspect I'm not in the majority, but I feel like my argument is rational. Like we're not running headfirst into a buzzsaw. Like I don't believe this.
Yeah. So I'm pretty anti-AI, not in the sense of like I'm scared it's going to take my job or it's going to destroy society. I'm just of the opinion it does not have the capabilities that they are marketing us on. They're selling us
I'm shocked.
Yeah. They're selling us on these future capabilities where the AI can do everything and learn everything. And it's not moving in that direction.
Okay.
Like there was a big explosion in growth between say like GPT 2.5 and 3 and 4 and 4, and when they randomly decided we're going to use letters instead of
it's much more better.
But then if you look at once they started going from like 4 onwards, there's been very diminishing returns. And to me that says they're actually kind of hitting the ceiling of what the technology is capable of. But they just keep coming out and saying, oh, just like one more model, like one more version, and we'll have AGI. And all I'm seeing is diminishing returns. Every time they add more parameters or they add better training data, it just gets only marginally better. And my argument has been that these are tools that are useful for some tasks, but there is no world in which this is replacing a human. There is no world in which this is becoming AGI or ASI. I'm not saying that we're never going to get to that, I just don't think we're going to get to that with LLMs.
With the path that we're on.
No.
Yeah. See, I keep seeing these arguments that like, okay, we are days away from firing all of our developers. We are like, there's no need to be training as developers. That's all gone. Hackers are all going to be replaced by AI. It's going to find flaws faster to automatically fix them. We won't need us anymore. I have a really hard time with that because, that quote, like artificial intelligence is no match for human stupidity.
Yes.
And here we are.
Yeah, it's been quite frustrating, especially like when you saw like, what was it, Anthropic? They released that like Claude code auditing thing and the entire cybersecurity market fell off a cliff. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, has anyone even looked at this? And there was another one. I think they figured out how to like make COBOL code. Yeah. And then IBM stock crashed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, none of these investors have any clue about the companies they're investing in. Like CrowdStrike stock went down like something like 20%. I'm like, CrowdStrike doesn't do code auditing.
Yeah.
Entirely
this
different
has nothing to do.
industry.
Well, I think the fear is that back in frame. I think that the fear is that somehow Claude Anthropic's going to figure out how to build an endpoint EDR agent, and it'll put CrowdStrike and everybody else out of business.
Yeah.
But again,
it's fear mongering at this point.
You think so?
Yeah, it just feels like every time they're like they come up with a new thing AI could possibly do. Yeah, the stocks on that market crash never materializes. I'm old enough to remember when Devin was going to replace all the coders. Do you remember Devin AI? And for months, every TikTok and Instagram influencer was like, coders are dead. Ha ha ha. You're going to be unemployed. And then they launched it. And I was like,
I'm still employed.
This is garbage. It's garbage, dude. I don't even know if the company's still around. Like, I don't think it took off.
I don't know. I've not heard of it.
Yeah. Have you heard of Devin?
No. Not in a while.
That was the Claude code before Claude code. And it was the biggest hype on all social media platforms. And then once they launched it, it just disappeared because it didn't have the capabilities.
I keep thinking that like what makes people like you and those that like really like to tinker and break stuff and find something truly unique is this what's up here? And we're not able to replicate that. Like that's not creativity, the ability to have like that gut instinct, like where you're looking at something and go, that something's wrong there. Like something doesn't feel right. Like, computers just aren't there for me.
I mean, maybe that's the next AI frontier is figuring out how to give computers autism and ADHD. Like maybe that's the solution.
Fantastic. Yes. Just feed it large amounts of Mountain Dew and what other chemical substrates we have that'll get us there. That's right. Yeah. There you go. Drink this and eat that and we're good. Where's this all going? Like, what's next? Because right now, where's your head at in terms of like the kind of technology that we're going to be poking at and breaking apart next? Because endpoints, we seem to have figured out endpoints pretty well.
I don't feel like we have.
No, you don't think so?
I feel like we're still losing the game to an extent. EDR's getting good. Yeah. Endpoint security is getting better. The mitigations are getting better. But I'm still seeing endpoint attacks being very, very successful.
Okay, where? Or not like specifically like places where, but like what's the attack that's working? Because that's not what you hear from endpoint vendors.
I mean, of course, because they're the endpoint vendors.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
A lot of the issue right now is there's a lot of technologies that we haven't looked into. So if you say you want to write malware in a scripting language, if you use VBScript or PowerShell, everyone's seen malware in those languages, so they have detections for them. But now they've started using things like Node and Python, and they're really struggling with that, especially on developer machines. Like with the DPRK attacks, it's very hard to tell a developer writing code from this is like inherently malicious code. It's very hard to actually scan the code itself.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they're kind of really struggling. Similar things with like things like ClickFix and a lot of like the Mac scripted info stealers. They're sort of inherently trusted because these are parts of the operating system. And we didn't think they were going to be abused, and we've seen all the other things get abused.
Yeah, but I mean, like Windows went through that, right? When PowerShell was like the greatest tool that ever was developed for hackers.
But then every time they fix that, they come out with a new script, and they're like, we just start over again.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So you don't think we figured out endpoint? What do you think what's the role for network security today? Is there any?
I don't know anything about networking, I'm going to be honest. I set up my first home network last year.
Oh, God. Come on, man.
My home lab was a $10 Amazon switch plugged into my ISP's Wi-Fi router. That was my entire network.
Fair enough.
I just bought my first, I don't even know what you call them. Like, you know, the fancy routers.
Yeah.
Rack mounted.
Yeah.
I just got my first one of those.
Okay.
I bought myself a Ubiquiti Dream Machine.
Oh, cool.
I got myself a bunch of switches.
Yeah.
I got a 10 gigabit per second switch. I was very excited about that. But at the end of the day, I don't know how any of this stuff works. I don't know about network segmentation.
I got to tell you, so this is an interesting point because I've had a couple of conversations recently where, in fact, Jeff Mann and I had this conversation yesterday, just down the hall here, about everybody that's touting how amazing AI is and how it's going to replace all these things. On the flip side of that conversation, we have less and less people that actually know how the three-way handshake works.
Yes.
Right? Less people know, like,
it's going to get worse.
And it's going to get so much worse.
The more people outsource their knowledge to AI, the less they understand the fundamental protocols. And I'm not saying this as an AI hater. I'm saying this as someone who uses AI.
Yeah.
I was working with some kind of database technology that I don't work with. Like, I have familiar with Mongo, MySQL. I was working with a new database technology. So I wrote a web app using that technology because I assessed it was the best tech for that specific thing.
Yeah.
And so I learned I thought I had learned all of the protocols and how to interface with it by having AI write the code for me. And then I was like, oh, can you make it do this? Can you make it do that? What's the best query index? And I went back to that code a week later. I had no clue how that code worked. I was like, I did not remember a single thing from anything AI told me. And I know that is happening to every single user out there.
This is a very, very interesting point because and this is me back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we broke into stuff, right? You took whether it's a piece of hardware apart, whether you're on a breadbox, whether it's a remote control, whether it's a piece of software, you'd go poke into it, figuring out what makes it work. That's how you'd remember it. That's how you would think of and learn what it does and what the functions are and all this stuff. If you're not doing that, you're not learning anything. You're just
I don't like to use the term because I feel like I don't like these terms that pit generations against each other.
Uh-oh. But you will.
You remember the term iPad kids?
Yeah.
Back when millennials, you were always tinkering with computers. I remember the first thing I did when my parents bought me a computer was I took it apart and put it back together. And systems just didn't work back then. You were constantly debugging and you learned a lot about the internals of your operating system. Yeah. And then they came out with things like the iMacs and the iPads and they just work.
They're closed systems. You can't really pull it apart. Yeah.
They work. Nothing ever goes wrong. You rarely need to debug them.
Yeah.
And then we sort of created this generation of people who they can use the technology, but they don't know how it works. And I think AI is going to make a super generation of that.
That's terrible.
For every technology, not just computers.
That's terrible because we're going to end up with a lot of things that look really good, but the minute they break, nobody knows how to fix it.
Yep.
So the real threat is going to be those that can shut down, take down, commandeer AI systems because it'll make the rest of us idiots.
Yep.
All right. So what was your first computer?
I want to say it was I don't remember the name, the first AMD 64 CPU when they first got dual cores. I'm not that old.
Yeah, you're a youngster.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
I did have a Pentium 3, but that was just something I stole from my school. But yeah, my first ever computer was a 64-bit machine.
Oh.
It was an AMD, I think it was the Athlon X2. That was it. The AMD
Athlon. Wow.
X2.
I actually still might have one of those somewhere. I have an old Pentium Pro chip that were remember those, you even know what that is. They were that big.
Did you have the one that was it's almost like Nintendo card?
Like a cartridge?
Yeah.
No, that was way,
No, I
way
have one
later.
of those still in my...
You have one of those with the little holographic logo on it?
Yeah, I kept
Fantastic.
one just for historic memorabilia.
Yeah.
I have it on my shelf in my
It's so
home
cool.
in England. But,
I have so funny, totally non-relevant to this, but I have I got to find it's in a box somewhere, but it is an NVIDIA card when they first started making NVIDIA video cards. It was a VLB, a Visa Local Bus. You have no idea what that is, but it's a piece of tech that before PCI.
Yeah.
ages and ages ago, right? But like we computers back then, like that's what I think is how a lot of us in like the older generations, we got into this because we broke something and went, oh crap, I gotta figure out how to do this. It's not a how to.
Yeah.
There wasn't somebody to go ask. It was just you, right?
Absolutely.
Right. All right. So you told a story about how you learned how to debug on. Tell us the story real quick.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't know that when you build an application, it builds the debug symbols that you can load into the debugger.
Yeah.
Which basically gives you all the variable names or the function names. So when you open up the code in the disassembler, you can see all of the names.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. So I would open my code in the disassembler. There were no function names. It was just addresses.
So you didn't build it with debug symbols. Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
So then I was like, I had to reverse engineer it because I was like, okay, where is the function that I know is crashing?
Yeah.
I need to go and find like what looks like that function. So I started learning like what C code maps to what assembly code so I could like scroll through. In hindsight, was that incredibly stupid of me? Yeah.
But you learned a ton.
But it made me a world-class reverse engineer. And I was like, so in my stupidity, I got smarter. And I think that's part of the process, is you've got to fail to learn, right?
I tell you what, you mentioned the only two programming languages that I know anything about, that is C and assembler. Like, I could do assembly like nobody's business on MIPS RISC machines, which was like late 90s.
Yeah.
And then C, but not like C++ or Turbo C, no. And CC, like the original printf, not sprintf. Before that, all that fancy, memory safety came into play. All right. I think I'm going to run out of time here because I don't want to commandeer your whole day. But thanks for joining us. What do you want to leave people with? A little bit of wisdom?
I'm bad at off the top of the head wisdom. Honestly, do not invest too much into AI. It is not going to, I don't think it's going to pan out. I think everyone is putting too many eggs in one basket, especially in cybersecurity, with this idea that AI is just going to fix security. We're just going to deploy AI models and cybersecurity will be good. And I don't see that coming.
All right. Well, I'm going to use, that's a good hot take. Okay. Thanks, man. Good to see you. Thanks. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening. We'll see you. Bye.
This is Bella. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave my dad a review and share this with your friends. Bye!